Let's see what it. I hope to God it works out right. By the way, you do want me to say, oh, hello everyone. Introduction. Mark Isaac Putter presents. We also may post this on a new show that we're doing called Our Vibrant Community. I'm actually doing 4 shows. I'm trying to start a small network. I've been doing one show for 23 years, and during that time, I often did 2 shows. So now we're moving to 4 shows. So this is going to be on 2 of them, I think, both on Mark Isaac Putter Presents and on Our Vibrant Community. Because Our Vibrant Community is more about nonprofits. But Mark Isaac Putter Presents is kind of turning out to be about everything. So anyway, you want me to send you the MP4s, don't you, after this is done?
Absolutely. That'd be wonderful.
And just use them any way you want. Cut them up, throw them away, sell them to pedophiles in South America, whatever works to fund your organization.
Yeah.
Um, God, I was going to ask you something else and I forgot because I interrupted myself. Oh, did you get the email about providing me with the titles of the show plus 3 lines of contact information?
Yeah. I replied to that.
Did you already? Okay, good. Because I want to try to get the first one of these off to an editor as reasonably as I can. I really don't have the money for. I mean, I'm saying this part because I'm too smart, too smarter than I look. I should say it that way. I do want people to know that we don't have money for what we're doing, in case we find some Elon Musk guy out there who decides to give us money, because we do a lot of these shows for free, especially all of our nonprofits up until now, at least, have been free. And we do a lot of our business shows for free for small businesses that don't have the money. So, uh, all right. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing Mark Isaac Putter Presents and also Our Vibrant Community. We're visiting with Kurt Roskopf. So the P is silent. That's all I have to remember, probably, right?
Yeah, in the
Would you
Western
say
world. Yeah, if you go into
in the
Bavaria,
Western world?
yeah, if
That's
you go
because
into
we can't probably do a PF sound over here.
yeah.
Our tongues are too busy promoting the Niners. He goes, "Oh no, not the Niners! No, not that team."
Go pack.
Tell us more about Project Diehard. And since we're in a different show, and this is part 2, someone might only watch part 2. Give us just a real like one sentence. What is Project Diehard, etc., and then tell us something that we didn't find out in part 1.
All right. So Project Diehard is a veteran service organization. We take a
Okay.
concerted effort spreading hope to veterans, and this is our response to veteran suicide.
Okay. And you go out. We learned in part 1 that you literally go out quite actively. Your marketing approach is to go out into the public and just simply say point blank, we are here to help veterans with problems that relate to suicide. Period. And then it's up to the veteran to come in and decide, okay, I might be in that category. I need some help.
That is correct.
Now, would you refer them to a therapist? Do you have like a list of therapists who have agreed to help with your stuff? I mean, they're going to charge a fee, but maybe a reduced fee or something, or what?
Yeah, we coordinate with what the veteran's doing or not doing. And, if there's a shortfall in what the veteran is doing for themselves, if we have to do some directory searches, find
Okay.
somebody. Yeah, we're not going to leave a need unmet. That if the veteran is looking for our help, we're going to stay with them until they get the help they're looking for. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm like I said, I'm a mentally ill person with 5 pieces to my diagnosis. I've been in therapy all my life, and I've been on medication since about 1990. I take a lot of psychiatric meds. Do you help the veterans with their psychiatric, like I'm a vet. I come in, I say I'm a veteran, but I have a hard time taking my meds because I have that. I have a hard time remembering when to take them because I take meds 5 times a day myself.
Yeah, so right now, we're matching up to volunteers. So if that need comes in, we broadcast that to our reaches and networks and we advertise it like we do anything else. And then we're relying on a volunteer to offer to be with that veteran for that type of accountability, did
Okay.
meds at
Okay.
the right time and all that. Yeah, all
All
volunteer.
right. And would you what do you feel like are the most like the one and two most common needs that a veteran who comes to you has?
First and foremost, it's something that people overlook, and it's just to have somebody to help them. And
Okay.
if we're gonna stick on the side of veteran suicide, just to be able to be a person that cares about what's going on and that will listen to them, that is very important because it is amazing how much veterans in these issues are left in isolation and they're left
Yeah.
to try to see. That's what happened with our founder and President Bryan. He's a gentleman that sat there and had the gun in his mouth. And if it weren't for a phone call, from biker contacts to a Harley event, if
Yeah.
he wasn't given a phone call to say, "Hey, Brian, are you coming Saturday to be with us in this event?" Brian wouldn't be with us right now. But he got a phone call right when he needed it.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
split, we're talking split second.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear it. I hear it. That's oh my God, what a world. Okay, so tell us things that we're not thinking to ask you that you want the public to know. And of course you need money and volunteers, so you can give us a pitch. You're allowed to give us a pitch about donations. Nothing under 500 million though, right? Or what?
Yeah, this is a big deal. We need nothing but big. Yeah, you know.
No, seriously. Do give us seriously, folks, these are our veterans for God's sakes, and we all know that we have not treated our veterans properly ever since Vietnam. I think World War II veterans got treated pretty nice, but certainly the Vietnam vets didn't. So if you feel guilty, just express it in giving money to Kurt and his group. That would be the what I would do.
Yeah, that is great. And another thing in general is that when people hear the work that I'm doing, they leave it relegated as the work I am doing. The
What?
important part here is to realize that the rate of veteran suicide is escalating.
Oh,
Again,
really? Okay.
yeah, again, the rate, not just the sheer numbers, but the rate at
Mm,
which they're increasing
mm.
is escalating. So
Wow.
there's nobody on the planet, 8 billion people on Earth, not a one of us, not a one of 8 billion has the answer for how to get this number to stabilize and make any sort of a downswing at all.
How many suicides a year are we talking about?
Uh, well, the old statistic was 22, but let's just say, depending on what statistic you want to offer, 30 or 40 a day. And then there's, the 364 days in a year, we're talking like 10,000 a year, right?
That's obscene. I just can't even. Oh God, help me. We gotta get this out there more seriously somehow. I mean, I know you're already doing the work, but okay, just keep telling us stuff that we forgot to ask you, whatever that is.
Yeah. Well, again,
Mostly men, I would assume. The women don't have as much of a problem, or what?
um, well, the women's side of it is more more complex,
complex.
and there's the severity there, but yeah, the numbers and percentages aren't as great on the female side as it is the male side. So yeah, the men are really where the numbers are just ridiculous, but the
Would
numbers
you
are there.
say it's like 60 or 80% of the people are men or what?
I actually would have to look it up as well, but I believe it's to the tune of three quarters or maybe even 80% men.
Okay. All right. So I think women are just, well, I'm prejudiced, but I think women are smarter. They know better to go get help, and they're not as embarrassed to ask. So
Yeah, and I think there's a general thing, typically for female. I don't think, there's many females out there who don't appreciate being stereotyped, but I think in the general female population, majority of females, to your point, has more of an inclination to just talk about stuff, and
yeah,
us guys statistically more so hold it in,
yeah,
and we don't want to
yeah,
be about our problems or our vulnerabilities, the old macho thing, from
hmm
decades ago. And I think we're slowly defraying that, but I think
yeah.
it's still there from, the 50s and 60s and whatever else.
Tell us a little bit about the day-to-day running of Project Diehard. You have a breakfast, lunch, dinner there at the facility, and you have a group or two each day. And what else happens? Do they
Uh,
some of the veterans go out to work and come back?
yeah, I mean, actually, right now, we're going through remodeling and, kind of, getting it where it needs to be for the stay facility part of it. So right now we're in day facility mode, sun up to sundown for the
Or
most.
oh, okay, because of the
Yeah.
remodeling. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so that's kind of what's going on there. So a lot of it is virtual. A lot of it is by text on phones, or people hitting us up through Facebook or stuff like that. And we
Okay.
do have a couple times a month we have breakfast. Like in Paducah, we have IHOP is working with us with the veterans, and then we hold a breakfast at our base, once a month. And so that's really the extent of what we're supporting right now. That's the extent of the financial support we're getting. We definitely do want to grow, to your point, to have more of what people think should be happening. But it's got to be funded. Right now those extra things aren't
Yeah.
funded.
Oh no. And you've got one facility in Wisconsin, which is in Paducah. Do you have other facilities in the other, like Kentucky, Texas, Illinois?
Yeah, not in those states. We do have another Eastern time zone location that's emerging, and then there's a third one that is just getting to be a part of the conversation. So, we're some set of several months into the future before these other sites are, really
Yeah,
deploying our
happening.
services, but we're getting there.
Okay. Now we do have a few minutes left, but I have a couple questions. Of the five branches, Coast Guard, Marines, Air Force, Army, and whatever the other one is, Navy. What do you see the most? You see Army the most?
Well, our founder and president is an Army veteran. So I think by
Okay.
the work he's personally been doing the last decade, I think there's a situational bias around him and his networks that we
Okay.
really strong on the Army front.
Okay.
Is probably, right behind that, and then you go from there. So
I would think that I mean I am a civilian, but I would think that the Army has the most combat, and the combat situations are what bring out the suicidal ideation the most. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I'd have to go back to the facts and do my fact checking, but
yeah.
intuitively, I'm inclined to agree with you. But yeah, we'd have to check the real record on that because I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with the record on that. So
All right. All right. So keep telling us stuff we don't think to ask you. If you
um,
have anything, or just give us part of your standard presentation, whatever you tell people at presentations.
well, when I talked about the suicide rate and the extent of the, epidemic of veteran suicide, and I build it up to a case to say it is absolutely an all hands on deck initiative. To me, citizens and civilians ought not say, well, that's for the VA to worry about. That's for our government to worry about. That's for other people to worry
Right.
about. So
Right.
really, I'm out here trying to appeal. Like, I'm not a veteran. So I'm out
Okay.
here to try to appeal to other non-vets, uh,
Right.
get in the game on this, because
Right.
trying to get it done within the veteran networks and the veteran services and the Veterans Administration is not working. We got to have
I would
that
think there
private
would be an
process.
advertise. You and I could possibly work on an advertisement that would basically be like a 30-second ad, 45-second ad that says, "Look, we owe much more to our veterans than we've ever given them. It's time that we, as civilians, do something for God's sake." And that might be a good thing to put in the ad, that we do something for God's sakes for our veterans. Either if you're too busy, give them some money. If you can volunteer, volunteer. There's tons of things we can do. Americans are historically pretty generous with their time and money, but there's always more that can be done. And of course, this show is the way I've given back over the last 20, 30 years. So, uh, anyway, so yeah, we need to get civilians more involved. What are your ideas about how to get them more involved?
Well, it's something that, I kind of have the term of intersectionality, but it's just to look at how this intersects with whatever it is you're doing. So if we're in a faith community, you can get with another person and others in your faith community to say, how can we make our faith community work better for veterans? Do you know
Okay.
that there is actually, a veteran hate dynamic that exists within the veteran within faith communities? That this is actually a serious issue, that people are in their faith community, and when they experience a veteran in their faith community, they become disinterested in that veteran and they ostracize that veteran, and they talk within their committees about, we got to do, and they go to their pastor or whoever to say that, whoever that's the veteran, they're talking about this veteran, and they're asking for that veteran to be kind of talked to so that they don't interfere with the other things that the members of the faith community are experiencing. They,
Okay, the point you just made, needs to be out there more broadly, I think.
yeah, I was astounded. I just learned about this through Project Diehard within the last
Because if
year.
that was more public, there are some, like I'm Episcopal. I'm a very strange hybrid because I'm Episcopal, but I'm also Buddhist, which is okay with both of them, by the way. But so I think if the Episcopal Church knew that this was going on in Christian churches or Muslim churches or Jewish churches, they would try to do better in their own community. Uh, I'm not anybody in my church, but I'll see if there's some way what I would do if it was me is I would write a letter. I would start by writing an open letter to someone at the head of various churches. Like in the Episcopal Church, we have something called a presiding bishop. And I think the current guy is Mark Curry. He's going to retire pretty soon after 8 years. He's like the equivalent of a pope for our group. But if your people wrote a letter and they could just change the name on it for the pope and for the presiding bishop and for the head of the Methodists and for the Jewish community, different Orthodox, non-Orthodox, Reformed, Muslim faith, etc., you could publish that open letter in like the local newspaper or a bigger than local newspaper. And that would be something. I mean, it would be a beginning. It's not much. It doesn't translate into a lot of activity or money or volunteers, but raising awareness is part of the job too, I think, right?
Oh, absolutely. The entirety of this issue is this needs to be a household known issue for us as humans, and humanitarian effort to get around. And, the nickname they give to this issue in the churches is called church hurt. The way what I described hurts the veteran. It's like this is
Okay.
church and they call it church hurt.
Well,
It's
and
the
the
other.
other thing coming in here from a marketing standpoint, which is why you need higher powered marketing people than me, is every issue, every problem that we have on the planet, whether it's the lack of enough red lipstick or not enough AK-47s. God knows we need more of those. Uh, I hope you know I'm being facetious. Everybody will verbalize the same thing about their issue. More people need to be involved with this issue. Drunk driving or you know, training clowns better so they're not assault predicators or whatever. Everybody that comes to my show verbalizes the same thing. Well, more people need to know. And that's part of the reason people come on, but to really make an impact, we have to figure that out. And I would suggest, and I don't know, you're on LinkedIn, are you in Alignable?
I
Are
am
you
on
in
a
a group called Align? Okay, I would suggest that somebody in your group, maybe your next intern or somebody, become much more active in Alignable because there are people there. If you really work the system, I mean, I'm in the Premium Plus, and I just fell into this. I don't mean to be lauding Alignable, but I think it is quite a good group. If you go in there and you really work on it, you go to a lot of Smart Connect meetings. Like I used to go to 3 or 4 per day, and I would meet hundreds of people in a month or in a week. I met 51 people in a day once. You're going to meet some people. I mean, if you're just calm and just talk, don't you're not allowed to sell. You just go in there and tell your story. There are some people, 2 out of 50, 5 out of 50 who are going to say I want to help of their own volition, of their own volition. And some of those people are going to be marketing experts. And there are marketing experts in that group that are making, their company revenue is $5 to $10 million a year. They know what they're doing. I'm just a little startup, So I really don't quite know what I'm doing yet. I'm just experimenting with different things, but I would suggest that you probably don't have that kind of time, but what we do at the TV station is we get interns in the summer. We'll get like 3 or 4. I mean, there's not a limit on interns, and just give them one of them a project for the next 6 months. You live and breathe Alignable, and you talk to them about this and that. And when you find somebody who's a marketing expert who wants to help, then you connect them to Kurt. And then you're going to get something really powerful, which is you're going to figure out a psychological way to penetrate that complacency and that overload. I mean, people have fatigue, They have giving fatigue, charity fatigue, they have volunteer fatigue. Everybody and his dog wants them to participate in their thing, just like you do, and just like I do. Do you see what I'm saying? The way to get through that is to have some marketing company who's very inventive come up with a really silly, unusual thing, an ad or something. One of these ads that where's the beef or something that's so mind-blowingly simple that people go, God, maybe we should help the veterans. I'm going to spend part of Saturday volunteering over there in Wisconsin or something. It's going to take something like that.
Yeah,
So, do you all sell T-shirts? Do you sell merchandise too, or not?
well, we have our shirts and stuff that we use within our team. We're not doing too much of selling them today, but next a year from now,
Yeah,
we're going to be doing what's called Hope Stock. We've done it in the past, but we didn't get it to the scale that it's intended
yeah.
in. So,
I'm
but
just
a year from now, we're going to have another Hope Stock, and
okay
that event, we're going to be able to unveil being able to sell stuff like that, like you're talking about.
because I really have watched. Being a marketing person, I've watched what the Harris Walls campaign has done, and I'm on TikTok an embarrassingly high number of hours per day, like 4 to 6, and I mean it. I mean, I have solid. So on TikTok, there are probably 12 or 15 companies that are selling dozens and dozens and dozens of different T-shirts of every conceivable angle of the Harris Walls campaign. Everything, and they're selling a lot of shirts and they're raising a lot of money. And if you could partner with a T-shirt company that already exists, so you don't have to, you know, spend all that time booting up a new company. There's millions of, not millions, but certainly thousands of T-shirt companies out there. If you can find one that's owned by a veteran or whose husband or wife died as a veteran or something, then and you might use something like Perplexity for that, Perplexity AI or Chat GPT or something, Gemini, to figure out how to get to one of those people. I'm not good at getting anything done, but I have great ideas. I can sit here and pontificate all day, which tells me we have 53 seconds left and I need 2 minutes to sign off. So guess what? It's going to become part of my brand to just interrupt the guest and say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with our show. We love you deeply. Please help Kurt. Call him up. He's going to have some contact information on the screen. Email him or call him and say, look, I want to help, or I want to pray, or do something to help our veterans, please. And I'm going to try to do something too, but every nonprofit that's on here wants me to volunteer with them. So it's all right, kids. That's all I know to say. Kurt, we love you, dude. If you want to do another show, you can. I'm a little tired, but I probably could do one more. But I am a little tired, so we'll figure that out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, God bless. There's our sound. I wish it was louder. Can you hear that? I hope you can hear that. All right, I'm hitting the stop record button here. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Guess Who again with Guess What? Yeah, whatever. You know the name of the show. This is Kurt, and Kurt is amazing. He has a last name, which is Roskopf. That's the first time in my life I've been able to pronounce it, even incorrectly, let alone. So I was asking you which of your two nonprofits we should do in this third show, whether we should do more of Diehard or whether we should do Spirit. What do you want to do some Spirit? Tell us about your Spirit group.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Yeah.
All right. So what's the name of it? What's your role there? Why'd you get involved? Da, 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 da. Does it relate to the Diehard veteran group? Like that.
Yeah, so I am the chair for the Impactful Veterans Network here in the U.S. with Spirit of the Game.
So
And
you're not the lazy boy, you're just the chair.
that's right. That's right. No commitment to comfort at all.
Oh boy. So what's it called? Spirit of what?
Spirit of the Game.
What does that mean? Spirit of the game. I mean,
It comes from the sport of ultimate frisbee.
huh.
Yeah, so
Okay.
what happened with ultimate frisbee is a group of people enjoying that sport. They came up with a campaign for 10 million discs So their idea was, if they could spread this humanitarian effort out to 10 million people, that's a number that people believe that when you reach 10 million people, it basically becomes a globally accepted whatever, you know.
Okay, but we're not talking about frisbees and frisbee leagues here. We're talking about veterans.
Well, with what I'm doing, I specialize in veterans. Spirit of the Game has the Impactful Youth Network, the Impactful Parents Network, the Impactful Women's Network. So they kind of have um, you know, the demographics, specialty demographics, and they specialize in helping specific demographics make a profound impact together, coming together as being a person within that demographic.
So the
Like,
segment you work with are the veterans.
correct. And so I aim as chair, I try to set it up to be a mutual aid in and out of the veteran community. So the idea is, if you're a veteran, we're here to help you as a veteran make an impact, including potentially to other veterans. And if you're a non-veteran, we help you with what you do, make your impact with veterans.
Oh, really? Okay. So you could actually help me figure out how to do more, have more veteran guests, for example.
Exactly. That would be correct. Yeah.
So I invite you to do that. Maybe that's the way I can help. Now, this Spirit of the Game, does it or does it not have anything to do with frisbees? Is that just where you guys got the inspiration, or are you teaching veterans how to throw a frisbee?
Well, we definitely have people in our community that are very proficient at throwing frisbees and doing the ultimate disc competitions. But our mission is to help people be accountable to impact, to make the impact that they say that they are making.
Give me an example of what you mean.
So I'm out there also as a disability ally. So I can say all day long, every day, I can come on your show and say, like, if we're talking about veterans, I can say I specialize even more specifically in injured, wounded veterans. And then you can say, okay, now when you go out there and you're putting your resources of Spirit of the Game, whatever, to help veterans, how are you responsible in other ways as well? Every time we make a purchase, it might have a carbon footprint. It may go against, people who have a hot button of climate change, or, recycling, or being healthy, health and well-being, whatever it may be. So there's other things that you can have in your game plan to be more humanitarian and be more friendly to the planet on how you are serving veterans. So like we have we were talking about in the last show about Project Diehard with a facility. Well, when you manage that facility, you could either put energy efficient elements, you can make it an
Right.
energy efficient
Okay.
facility or not. So these are the things that Spirit of the Game does, is the realm of impact for humanitarian efforts and green initiatives, kind of how do you rate, and, where do you want to be in being that type of a leader or volunteer, that you're using resources responsibly in this way, including human resources, in terms of
So
being.
the title of this group, Spirit of the Game, it really escapes me somehow. What does it mean? Does it mean the spirit of life, or what? What is it? Why? I don't want to criticize your name, but I don't. I mean, I'm not a sports guy. Last time I did any sports, it was walking from the kitchen to my bedroom with a bowl of chili in my hand. That's the most active sports event I do. What is it? What does it mean? Does it? And it has nothing to do with frisbee, right? Or not? I mean, did it
Well,
come? Did it get inspired by the frisbee league, or what? I mean,
yeah,
why
when you
is
look at like nonprofit work, like in nonprofit work, everybody accepts like a walk run. Like, go do a walk run and support muscular dystrophy or the MS
right?
Society, whatever. So that's kind of what's going on with this. Is this is a common thing that you take something like a sport and you say, great, we get together to do our sport. Like I'm a water skier.
Oh,
And
but we can do
part of our
water skiing for cancer or water skiing for muscular dystrophy or
yeah. So that's what spirit
okay.
of the game means is that these athletes say that they love and have fun with the sport, but they believe
Okay.
as athletes that they share an interest to make an impact in the world. And that's the
All
spirit of
right. Okay. Well, I got to admit, I don't understand Spirit of the Game as much as I understand the other thing, but why don't I default to having you tell us stuff? Tell us stuff that I'm not thinking of to ask.
okay.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I sort of mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, well, with I guess let's enter the business world, and we do have the Impactful Business Network. The thing that I talk about is in corporations, like if you take Microsoft or Google or Walmart or these corporations practice what is called corporate social responsibility, right?
Okay.
Okay, so by the magnitude of the corporation, we all love that. And it just sounds great that they're giving back to the community. Well,
Right.
you talk in conversations I have with you, you talk about Alignable, and I love Alignable too. But when we boil it down to a solopreneur and these solo gigs and these freelancers and all that, what
Right.
happens to corporate social responsibility when everybody's working alone?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a dynamic that Spirit of the Game offers is that as a solopreneur, you can belong to the impactful network, you can join the organization, and then we all as individuals come together in solidarity to say, we are all business people that want to practice impact. And we're going to do that. And it's going to be our corporate social responsibility that we do together as
Okay. So how big is this Spirit of the Game network? And is it like 50,000, 100,000, a million, 2 million? And what are some of the impactful things as a group you've been able to do to show that yes, being in this network is more impactful?
Yeah. Well, really, the circumstance right now, Spirit of the Game, is that across the last decade, when you talk like about 100,000 people, that's the accomplishment of the past decade is reaching 100,000 people. You know, and right now, what's happening is we basically have like really 100 people. Really, today, right now, are the living, breathing spirit of the game, and taking a look at how we're going to grow this future with all these impactful networks and these coalitions. The impactful veterans is organizing within our membership. The
Right,
coalitions are we're Spirit of the Game, and now how are we going to plug into Project Diehard or UNICEF or work with
right.
other organizations to do impact work where we're Spirit of the Game and they're their entity.
Are there video? Is there a YouTube channel for either Spirit of the Game or Project Die Hard? Either one.
Both have YouTube
Okay.
channels.
Spirit of the Game would be spiritofthegame.com or what?
Spiritofthegame.org.
Okay, and then what about Project Die Hard? Is that projectdiehard.org?
Exactly, you got it. Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna have to go do some more research because I really do want to be on record as saying let's do some more shows, maybe in a month. It's gonna take me a while to get. It's taking, this is probably not going to be true for your shows, and I didn't tell you this in advance so you wouldn't cancel on me, but because I had somebody cancel already today. Uh, it's going to take 8 to 10 months for me to go from having you get taped to being out on the air because your shows are like shows number 19, 20, and 21 of what's in development. and we're doing like 5 other shows this week. So unless your peeps and homies come up with money for the video editor, then it will be a while. It probably won't be 8 to 10 months, but it will be a while. But we talked about this on the phone, right? Didn't I say we talked about getting this stuff out next summer or not?
Yeah,
Was that
I
somebody
said
else?
that if this is all material coming, we're going to be doing Hope Stock next summer. So to kind of have,
Try
an
to get
extra
it out there. Yeah.
livelihood here with,
Well, we should do a PSA before next summer for Hope Stock. I'm assuming it's like Woodstock, right?
you got the idea. That's the
So what
concept.
is it, like bands and stuff, and then it's a benefit
Yep.
for
And we'll
either
be
one of
having
these
the
groups.
meals. We'll be
All
having
right. Okay.
yeah, we'll be sharing all the meals together. And,
Well,
yeah, the
we've only got
music.
a few. We've only got a few minutes left in this show. A little more than a few, but tell me something. I'm trying to think of what if I were an audience member, what would I want to be hearing? Tell us something if you can think of something. Tell us something funny that happened either in Spirit of the Game or at Project Hired. Tell us something funny that happened. Is there something funny that's happened over the years?
I'm sure there, I'm sure there has been. I'm
You,
trying to.
you don't know what it is, right?
Well, it's more just around, me actually. People just keep poking fun at me and just having fun with my, bolsterous personality and whatever and picking on me and stuff. They just have fun. Ah, Kurt Roskopf, this, that. And then I come up with my little whimsy to come along. We do a Mission Monday podcast every Monday at 6:30.
Okay,
And
good.
so we have fun.
Where
So
can we
funny things.
find that podcast?
By going to YouTube and searching for Project Diehard, on YouTube.
Okay.
And then one thing that you might find very interesting and eccentric is that, Mark, we are Santa approved.
Oh,
You like that?
where's John? Where's John? Where's Papa Santa, Papa John when you need him?
Yeah,
I'll
that's
have
the
to
guy.
call him.
That's the guy.
I
We're
ought to
working with
call him
Santa
right
Papa
now.
John.
I probably won't, but just for fun, I ought to call him up and say, "Hey, dude, I'm alive right now. You guys are so much fun." So when you do your groups, do you guys ever do like sing along? Oh, you're going for the. I'm gonna call him.
Do you
I think
see
I'm
him
gonna
on your
call him.
screen? He's
Oh
on your.
yeah, but I've got his phone number in my phone. I think. Do you guys ever do sing-alongs and stuff and campfires with everybody or what?
Oh yeah, we're big on music and yeah, with the grounds at the base, that's what
The
it's all known
ground.
for. Oh yeah. Yeah,
What are grounds?
we've got a lot of acreage, We've got a lot of acres of property
You
at our
do
base.
up in Paducah?
In McCann, Illinois. McCann, Illinois.
So a different place than Paducah.
Yeah, Paducah is where Brian works out of for administration of our nonprofit.
Hey, Santa Papa John, I am live on the air right now with a man named Kirk Roskopf, and he's in 2 nonprofits, and he just told me that at least one of the two is Santa approved. Which one, Kurt, did you say is Santa approved?
Project Diehard.
He has a nonprofit called Project Diehard that is Santa approved, and all this is being taped live on my show. Believe it or not, I'll have to send you the show. It's in the middle of the show somewhere. Well, it's see, we got 9 minutes left out of 24, so roughly 2/3 of the way through. All right, Santa Papa John, just saying hi. Talk to you later. I'm going to give you a plug in this show, dog. So, folks, there is something called Santa Papa John, a person, and he does something that's very popular called Santa Approve, where you can get a badge for your website, business, etc. And that's what Kurt and I are referring to. We're just having a little fun within a lineable here. So, all right, what were we talking about, young man? Do you remember? we were talking about what a straight arrow you are and how everybody keeps making fun of you because you're a white guy with a regular haircut, or what?
Anything that works for them, I'm just here for people
If
to
you see, if
benefit.
you were a Taiwanese transgendered basketball player, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, then they would leave me alone. You got it.
Well, and I should now come, since I said that, I should come out of the closet here. I'm non-binary. I recently wanted to date a transgender lady, and we kind of decided to stay friends. But I'm everything. I've got about 250 personalities, so I'm straight and I'm gay and I'm everything in between and all that. So, but that's neither here nor there. So tell us something. We got 7 minutes, which in TV is actually a long time. So, what do you want to tell us?
Well, if we're gonna,
Tell
talk
us about
more.
that land. How much will you have more land somewhere else? I didn't know that.
No, that when we keep talking about the stay facility with Project Diehard, that location is McCann, Illinois, where that facility is with the.
I thought you said it was in Paducah.
There's two locations. There's Paducah, Kentucky, which is used as an
Oh
administrative
my.
offices, and then
Okay.
we have a base in McCann,
Oh
Illinois,
God.
which is for the programming with veterans.
It's nice to know that people know that I don't know what I'm doing. So it really always, I reprove it on every show. All right, just tell us something, whatever you want to tell us about. Tell us more about spirit, because we've only done maybe 3/4 of a show about spirit, spirit of the game. It's about building networks of networks, right?
Yeah, so sometimes, like if you think of like in business, like an incubator for business in a box type of
Right.
thing. Spirit of the game is that type of thing for the nonprofit sector. So we're recruiting people to come in leadership in whatever regional or locational space they want to do it in. So they might want to just be a local leader. So we at Spirit of the Game, we invite people to come in and be our local leader in a municipality or otherwise locally. If they have regional interests for whatever reason, or national, like I'm a chairperson for the Impactful Veterans Network in the US. So I'm in there
Okay.
leader, and as a national leader, I'm kind of dabbling into the global aspect as well to
Okay.
really compare what other nations are doing in spirit of the game. So that geographical organization is available.
Hmm.
And then we can do trans local events where
Right.
people can gather locally in person, elbow to elbow, but then through Zoom and whatever, be connected to other gatherings in other local
Right.
areas. But through Zoom and so forth, it becomes a global access service that we provide through Spirit of the Game.
All right. Now, who founded Spirit of the Game? I mean, we already know about the guy who founded Die Hard. Who founded Spirit of the Game?
Trent Simmons. Trent Simmons
Okay.
is he's in Switzerland right now,
Oh, lovely.
but he
Okay.
actually grew up in the community where my water ski club is, Pewaukee, Wisconsin, is he and his brother grew up. So
Oh
it's
my
kind of weird. I
God.
meet a guy in Switzerland and he's from like 10 miles from me.
You met him in Switzerland?
I met him online through LinkedIn and so forth,
Okay. All
through
right.
business networking, like the
Very
alignable
good.
type of thing.
All right. Very good. Very nice. Wow. So it is. So Spirit of the Game is fairly international then.
Yeah, that it is
It
meant
seems
to be
like
a
it is.
global
Yeah. And
community.
it's been
And
around
then if
how long?
I'd have to look up the year he got it started, but it's another organization that's been around for over a decade, you know.
Okay.
So we're talking about like 2012 type time range he got it started.
And would you say it's mostly North America and Europe, or what would you say?
Yeah, that would be accurate. And Africa has gotten a
Okay.
lot of participation in the last decade. Africa's huge in this realm, yeah.
Okay, now, and it's a series. It's a network of networks. Like it's networks that collaborate with each other. So
Yeah,
how
and
many? Go ahead.
it has the capacity to support a neighborhood initiative. I mean, it can be as localized of a connection as people want it to be.
So in other words, one person in a community might say, "We need a dog walking ordinance," and I'm going to ask Spirit of the Game to help me get it past the city council.
Absolutely. Yeah, those local interests definitely are part of our work. Yep.
Or what countries in Africa would you say are the most active in Spirit of the Game?
South Africa, Uganda, um, what I want to say, Kenya,
Okay.
so on and so forth. Yeah.
I'm very interested in Africa. I couldn't say I spend a lot of time there, but I've been published in Nigeria,
Yeah,
and
Nigeria is one of them. Yeah, with us. Yeah.
I like learning about Africa and the different countries. So it's good to know.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
give us a rough idea of how many networks? I mean, there's one for veterans. There's one for one-legged pharmacologists, and what else?
uh, Impactful Parents Network, Youth Network, Business Network, Women's Network, Veterans Network. And then we have the Impactful Coaches Coalition.
Okay.
So
Is
people,
that a certain sport or all coaches?
we're talking about impact coaches. So people who actually do coaching.
Oh,
Uh,
life
they,
coaching, not sports coaching.
Correct. They might have that life experience as well, but we're getting them in as coaches, like say nonprofit management. That would be a form of like if
Okay.
you coach people on nonprofit management, that would be
Right.
in the realm of impact coaching. Yeah.
Okay.
Running ministries or missionary work and so forth. If you're the one teaching people how to do this stuff, you're in
Right.
the realm of being an impact coach. That type
I
of deal.
know I know quite a few missionaries. I've got a friend named Gail Smith who's in the Inalienable who's going to Guatemala on September 4th, and she'll be there till the 12th building churches. And I've got another friend that's going to Armenia. Him and his wife go every summer and build housing because they're of Armenian descent. So
Yeah, so
a lot
the concept here is we're trying to help people avoid reinventing the wheel of
okay.
humanitarian work. So if people are doing this in any way, if they're making an impact in any way, this is meant to be a breeding ground and a personal and professional support group to help people that they're devoting their time and resource and themselves as a person to do this volunteering, whatever. And so we're the space that helps people check in. So if somebody's on a committee in a nonprofit or at a church, we want to be that outreach support element to say, like you kind of talked about with the city council or whatever, but
Right,
any
right, right, right.
situations that if they're trying to accomplish something, that
Right.
we're that outreach, we're like that hotline to say, I want help. I'm doing this and I want to make sure I'm successful, in my appealless leadership group. We got a project going. I want help in this community project. That's where we want to.
Okay. I was going to ask a question, but we're out of time. Uh,
I say
let
that's
me,
what keeps us coming back.
yeah. Are you up for another show or you'd rather not? What do you think?
I'm game for anything. I'm available.
You
So
sure you won't be mad at me for later on in life because I made you do 4 shows.
no, that's fine. I'm a guy that craves attention. If you offer attention, I take.
Oh, we just start calling him Donald J. Roskopf.
Right.
Camera's off. All right,
There.
did I turn it off yet or not? No, not yet. Good. All right, folks. Please take care. We're going to be right back with show. All right, there we are. Folks, welcome aboard. Show number 4 with Kurt. We're going to do 7 shows a day for the rest of our lives.
Right.
So I don't even know what to ask you. Although I know that every time you open your mouth, my mind comes up with questions. Well, I'm finding, let's do more Spirit of the Game, because I feel like it's more difficult for me to understand Spirit of the Game. So therefore, I'm concluding it needs more elaboration. And also, it goes out to everybody, not just to veterans, whereas Diehard is mostly for veterans and civilians helping veterans. But you're saying Spirit of the Game is a network of networks that was founded about 10 years ago by Dick Tracy. Is that what you said, or what?
Trent Simmons.
Trent Simmons. I almost had it right. Uh, you're too young to know who Dick Tracy is, apparently. So,
No, I know Dick Tracy.
so this Spirit of the Game is global in nature, mostly North America and Africa and Europe. Started in Switzerland, right? What else can you tell us about the embryonic years of Spirit of the Game?
Well, I mean, to grasp the power of Spirit of the Game, think of United Way.
Okay.
Look at what United Way is doing, and now ask yourself, how accessible is United Way for all community work and for all companies? Like, do you think our friends on Alignable are reaching out to United Way to develop a relationship to help what they're doing in their entrepreneurial ventures? And think of like United Nations to look at how, and then ask yourself, how accessible is the work of United Nations, for all forms of nonprofit and humanitarian work? And United Nations isn't trying to be that, but that's the space we're filling. That's the need we're filling, is that as 8 billion people on the planet, doing the work that is good for the 8 billion of us and for the planet we share, um, there is a gap that we all could do better at and fill better. And in doing so, we propose what we're all trying to do is make an impact or have a legacy. Let's
And
think of
the
legacy.
nice thing that you're doing with Spirit of the Game, which I feel like speaks to the audience more directly. I could be wrong, but if you're a human being in the audience who's doing anything in the world that is good in nature, like you're organizing a piano teaching class because your daughter wants to be in it, or you're trying to get your street repaved, or you're trying to I don't want to get into the Israeli Palestinian conflict, God forbid, but you're doing something global in nature. Apparently, from what I understand, Spirit of the Game is there. If I didn't know about y'all and I was doing a project, like let's make up a fictitious story. Let's say my wife was just diagnosed with a rare kind of cancer that very few people know about, and I'm feeling very alone, and I want to get the word out about this cancer, and I also want to connect with people who know about it because it's so rare. There's very few people. How would I get a hold of Spirit of the Game? Like, do you have a number? 1-800 Spirit of the Game. I would call and say help, or what? How would that work?
Well, uh, in my, speaking in this show, I just will offer people can call me.
You
My
sure?
my US phone number is 262-372-1 ski SKI ends up being 754. So 262
Sure.
372 1754. And then for internationally, I have a WhatsApp phone number,
Right.
+1 for the US, and then 414-514-0186. So those, in terms of you saying a hotline, call the Kurt Roskopf hotline, US
Okay, now,
based.
folks, we can only put 3 lines of contact information on the screen, so some of what he's saying will probably be in the credits. So because we're gonna put his name up, probably the U.S. phone number, and then an email or a website or something. We'll all figure it out. But yeah, so that's good. We'll need to know both of those numbers. I use WhatsApp a lot myself too, because right now I'm working with a lot of people in Pakistan, both as guests and as support team on the show. I don't know how it turned into being in Pakistan, but that's just what happened. So, so how would somebody? They would call you, huh?
Yeah, and I have an email address that you've been using, Kurt at spiritofthegame.org. And you can go to spiritofthegame.org and go through the contact, messaging there. If people want to just, be in touch.
Well, you're more likely to want to talk to a human being if you're. The rumor is you're a human being. We established that in show number one, I think so.
Yep.
Kurt at spiritofthegame.org. Okay, that's good.
Yep.
So they would like call you and they might say, well, I'm trying to get this house burned down in our neighborhood and we're trying to put a park there instead of another residence. What would you tell them? Would you guide them how to talk to their city council, or what would you do? How would you go about assisting?
Well, I mean, if they're trying to get community support or if they're trying to get the clout that, the powers that be, like going up against City Hall type of deal,
Right, right.
might be a little bit of like the old terms of like guerrilla marketing, type of stuff to be able to get it out and around the constituency of that area. So it might be marketing support. Might,
So you
might
might, so you might, you, so you're going to advise them in some way. And in our example, you might advise them to do guerrilla marketing. And I always restate because, and then what would you, let's say we're in this as a real example. Let's do more of a full dress rehearsal of our example. So I'm the guy, house in my neighborhood burned down, want to put a park there. I call Kurt Roskopf and I say blah blah blah, and you say guerrilla marketing, and I say to you, "What's guerrilla marketing?" I don't think gorillas are going to help us do it. Most of them are in Africa or in the zoo. And you say what?
well, I say the idea is to appeal to people around that neighborhood to see if you can get some help. The old thing of many hands make light work. So, a little bit of a recruiting assistance and, like when you lose your dog or whatever, and you want people to help you find your lost animal, you put up
Right,
posts,
right.
stuff like that. So we kind of step through to find out what people are already inclined to do and then to discuss if it seems helpful to them. And then the project itself, because if they're going to put a community garden or whatever the alternative is,
Right.
how are they set up to do the project itself? Because that's another thing of convincing the neighborhood that that's what they're going to do, is how well they will have predictable success, that if they endorse the project, that'll be a project that the neighborhood is proud of versus, you know, they kind of just want it and they kind of get people to approve it, but then nobody's going to own the project. And then you
Right, right.
talk them into something that's not going to come to fruition. So you
So
want to
you
they
you
have
sort of seem like a consultant. You're going to talk to them, give them ideas for action, like plans of action. You're certainly not going to call the mayor and say, "Look, this is Kurt," and then the mayor goes, "Oh my God, it's Kurt. What do you need? How can I do? Don't kill my family."
well, I mean, I'm definitely available that
You're not going to interact with them directly in action. You're going to give them ideas, which they can then implement and maybe come back to you a few weeks later and talk about. So you're almost like a business consultant slash therapist for people who have ideas or want to get something done in the world.
yeah, and we can help the recruiting side by people involved at Spirit of the Game, like to your point of telephone calls. Anybody in the US, Puerto Rico, and Canada, can just about make a phone call to that city hall and talk to the mayor.
But
Um, but
okay, but it's not
oh,
likely they would, right? Because you get a lot of requests, so it's not likely that anybody in your group is going to say, "Well, yeah, for some reason this particular park is going to be a big deal." I live in Montreal, and I'm willing to call Podunk, Indiana, to make sure this park gets made on 7th Street, right?
yeah, so that's what the sorting out process. If that's not necessary or whatever. But if somebody is in need of help and wants that type of help, we can communicate that to our membership and see if anybody wants to offer to
Okay,
fulfill
well,
that
okay,
request.
good. Now we're getting somewhere. Now, when you communicate it, does that go out in the form of it's a newsletter, it gets mentioned in a podcast or a Zoom meeting? How would you communicate that to your membership?
Yeah, we'd probably take it in stages. We'd probably take a list of maybe a short list of people that we, might think are interested and just do regular communication with our specific members to see if we're on the right track. And if they do,
Okay.
and if it seems like we got to take greater efforts, yeah, we could put it out on our podcast, like like we're talking about it with you, and
How
we
many
can.
projects? How many projects do you think people love statistics? Unfortunately, how many projects do you think you've had an impact in over the last 10 years? Just give me some ballpark number, just roughly,
Yeah, I'd
very
say
roughly.
I've been involved with this group for a couple of those years, so I'm
Okay,
going on an impression of, I would speculate, 75 to 80.
per year or what?
No, in the entirety of the decades, because like you said, we're
Okay,
more of a consultant. So if you're talking about that we consulted somebody and they really had the success, it
that's different.
probably
That's
would be
many more.
hundreds, or like you say, that per year. If you're going that way, once removed, because we just kind of
Yeah,
gave
yeah,
people
yeah.
the talking that they needed, you know.
Okay. Is
But it
there any criteria system where if somebody pitches an idea, if they meet certain criteria, they're more likely to be actively assisted by Spirit of the Game? Or
Yeah, you're getting points. Like you were talking about the present day conflict. I mean, peace initiatives, attract a lot of attention to grow peace on Earth. So that's huge. Green initiatives, environmentally friendly, the
right,
use of our resources that way. To look at the work of equity, to inclusion, accessibility, stuff like
right,
that.
Gates Foundation or something, right?
Yeah. So when you're in these realms where it's a pretty universally shared interest that these are things we need to get better at as people on Earth, and in terms of for the sake of our planet, um, you know, that that attracts attention within our networks. That's our shared interest, is to do
But
that.
you don't have an actual point system. You said the phrase point system, but you don't have an actual point system like something local gets 5 points and then something statewide gets 7 points and
You're correct, but that is in our conversations. Our organization is interested to evolve a gamification of this, where all of
okay.
that is a part of how
Right.
our operation works. But yeah, we're not there yet. That has not been
Yeah,
formulated.
I'm hoping to start a nonprofit called Blue Eagle, in which it helps people with a one time purchase of something that breaks down, like transmission or washing machine. But when they come to the organization, they have to meet a very specific set of criteria in order to qualify for that one time gift. So,
Okay,
all
excellent.
right, young man, tell us more. Tell us about your family. You've got a wife and 2 kids, or what did you say?
Yeah, I have a wife and one daughter, a 15
Okay.
year old sophomore in high school.
Okay.
Uh, So new driver. So we're kind of going through the driver's ed and all that kind of stuff and giving her hours of driving. They're
All
supposed to
right.
have, I believe, like 20 hours worth of driving or something. She's got like over 80 or approaching 90 hours. So,
Ah,
and her birthday is not till February, so she's got almost a half a
okay.
year to keep racking up these hours. We're thinking
Oh,
that
dear.
the
Well,
people are
hopefully
going to be
that'll
very impressed,
keep her out of trouble. What else do you want to tell us about? You want to tell us about your life, or more about Spirit of the Game, or what is the main thing that's is the Spirit of the Game known for any one area of influence? Like, is there a certain thing that's their bread and butter over the others, so to speak?
Well, I mean, I guess primarily it's positioned, kind of like you were sensing as an educational organization, to share best practices and to do workshops and stuff like that, to teach on
Right,
accountability and, to show best practices and to have the documentation that people can actually take it like a workbook and actually apply what we talk about in our educational sessions, that they can have documents that they take with them to then put what we taught and put it to practice in the nonprofit or community work that they are, that all along that they
so you do workshops. Are those on your on they're on a schedule on your website?
We have had the schedule up there. We're in the cycle to bring it back again, almost like back to school type, format, right?
Right.
Just got done about a month ago with a conference and a schedule that we completed. And so now we're going the next rotation to get back up probably in September here, so for
Is
the
there like
quarter
an email?
anyway.
How do I keep informed? Is there an email list or what?
Yeah, we do have several email lists. That's where our leadership comes into play. Like I said, we have local leaders which take care of getting people then in that local area the information deployed. We have regional setups with regional leaders and people managing these regions, like we talked about Nigeria,
Okay.
stuff like that. So yeah, and then there is a global list. So if you kind of want things going on, spirit
So
of the as
if
far
we go
as
to spiritofthegame.org, are we going to have an opportunity to join an email list or what?
uh, you have an opportunity to join through the Impactful Women's Network. They're heading up our community element. So there's an online platform to go ahead and be a part of that. And within that online platform, you can join that. And then within that, you can opt into the distribution lists and so forth, or work with any of our leaders like me with the Impactful Veterans Network. If somebody wants to be in any information I have on what we're doing in the Impactful Veterans Network, I put them on the list myself, that type of thing.
It seems like for an organization that's so big, there should be a long-standing email list of things that would say, well, we got 3 new workshops coming up in October, and they're about this and this and this, and we're having a podcast on November 7th, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, so like anything, it's either on the volunteer side or the what's paid gets done side. It takes having the offer to do it and to have somebody who'd be
Right.
satisfied to take care of that. So yeah, we're just in
Okay.
a place now where we don't have that person to make sure
Right.
it's happening. So we're all kind of doing it in our own fashion for right now until
Okay.
we get that established. Yeah.
All right.
Leadership
So
groups
you think
are
funding is needed for Spirit of the Game, or
Oh yeah, yeah. Funding is a big need. So we're basically working on a shoestring budget right now, and just working more on what people are donating or providing, with no expectation of it being paid for. You know, um,
is it come through an international headquarters of funding, or do you all do your own fundraising locally?
yeah, it's a combination. So remember, we're a network of networks. So we have organizations participating with us that are funded in their own way for what they do. So you
Right.
have a lot of that going on where we're not seeing it come through Spirit of the Game. but things
Right.
are happening because the people at the table have a funded project or their
Okay.
organization is funded
All
autonomously
right.
from Spirit of the Game.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we might kick off early on this one. I'm going to say a couple things here on the end of show number 4. Number one, folks, I want to give a shout out to the TV station where I started and where I'm still producing a show. That TV station is in Mountain View, California. It's called KMVT15.org. KMV, like Mountain View, KMVT15.org. And I love those guys very much. And I've been with them 20 some years. And I've won the Volunteer of the Year twice and Life Achievement once. So they're dear to my heart. And I would ask you all to just keep watching the show. And main thing to do is just watch the show and share it with other people. Um, so yeah, anything you want to leave with our? How about something inspirational to a person who might want to start a nonprofit? What would you say to a person in the audience who's thinking about starting their own 501c3 and kind of doesn't know whether they want to do that much or doesn't know how to start? What would you say as an inspiration? I know they could call you and ask too, but just over the screen, what would you say to them?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's this whole element that you can get motivation from this concept of the power of one. There's a lot of human history about how one person made such a remarkable difference, nationally, internationally, or even locally, whatever. So that is the story of nonprofits. It is exactly what you're talking about, being inspired to start that 501c3. And it's quite a gift, to the marketplace, to communities, to whatever realm you're trying to reach. It is quite a gift to do that work and set up that 501c3 because the space is very much set aside that, there's a lot of effort to stay within your mission. So the idea is that if the thing you would set up a 501c3 for doesn't have that space as much available for people to flock to give their donations to volunteer specifically for that, that's what's needed in the marketplace is people to lead that, create that space for that exact work to be done, because
All
that's
right.
how you
Yeah.
protect that interest is to have a 501c3 set up. So I would
Okay.
ask that you please do it. Yeah.
All right. All right, folks. We're going to stop. And on this show, we're going to have a little bit of Kurt, what's the thing when you watch a movie and then there's some part of the movie after the close? What is that called again?
Like a director's cut or the outtakes
No,
or
outtakes. Outtakes. I'm gonna sneak in here and pretend to stop, hoping that we have some interesting outtakes in the last 30 seconds after I stop. But don't anybody tell Kurt because I want him to be very impromptu. So all right, so we love you folks. I have gotten less embarrassed about saying I literally love you all. Thanks for watching. Kurt, it's been a blessing to have you on. I hope we do more shows. Well, we have done 4. That's pretty good. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Talk to you later. Let's pretend I hit the record button. Okay, we stopped the recording. Now, now, now what? Say something off the cuff. I don't know. I've been wanting to know what your wife does for a living, but we don't have her permission to talk about her on here.
yeah, you're gonna have to work with us on getting that introduction to her and getting
What
permission.
does she do for a living? Is she working a nonprofit or
No, university. She does university work.
professor or
She has taught. She's not literally a professor. She's kind of a backup when they can find an adjunct professor to
okay?
cover introductory to biology classes. So she can
Very
step
nice.
in as staff
All
to
right.
cover teaching a class. Yeah.
All right. Now, the other thing before I shut off here, uh, I'm going to send you these MP4s. I've got to go take a nap because I've got another show at 6:30. But
Yeah.
I'll send you the MP4s probably in the next couple of days. Consider having other people in these two organizations come on the air and give their point of view. Because if we're going to try to do something deep, I have not done this with anybody else, by the way. This is new out of 23 years. Have somebody else come on and give another perspective, and maybe over time people can get to know more about the two groups and how they can be part of it. I kind of like Spirit of the Game a lot because I feel like I could be more involved, and I could be more involved about some project I had for myself. Like I'm into poetry, and I'm into a very niche kind of poetry called absurdism, which is almost unheard of in the United States. It's more prominent in Scandinavia and Russia. So anyway, talk to you soon. Take care of yourself. I'm going to hit the real stop record button here. See, there's can you hear that sound or
Yeah.
not?
Oh yeah, I hear
I
it.
can't hear it when I watch the recording.